Greetings, everyone. So you might hear a little fireplace sound in the background. I've got my radio on in the kitchen as well, jamming out to some good 80s and 90s, a lot of really good 90s music they are playing today. So I'm feeling a little more energetic today. I'm drinking a little caffeine because I needed it. I don't know how my tummy's going to react to it, but trying to motivate myself to get out and walk. It's 21 degrees out here. Usually once I get out there, I feel good, but it's just when you're out snuggled up cozy in your apartment or your house, it's hard to get motivated. You guys know how that is. I happen to love the winter. I'm a little snowbird. So I've been thinking about some videos I want to make. I'm going to take it easy today, finally. I had a lot going on this week. And I was doing a lot of food prep, and I like to make my own food as much as possible. And I just feel like I need to kind of rest a bit today and take it easy. But I have a lot of good ideas for videos. So I thought, how can I help other people? So that's really why I do the things that I do. I always have an incessant need to help other people, but it's important when you're an empath to have some boundaries and also not have to help everyone, in their situations. I'm going to turn that radio down. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I talk about these things from a perspective that I've been through it before. I'm a little bit embarrassed, but absolutely, I've been manipulated in my lifetime. And it was usually disguised as love. It was disguised as false concern. It was disguised as, we're worried about you. Oh, especially watch that in jobs. Watch that, you guys, I'm telling you right now. And it's not because I concentrate on just negative things. I'm telling you, man, when bosses, or I'd say more so bosses, tell you they're concerned, start looking for a new job, or it's just probably not the place for you. So, how can you tell if you are being manipulated? Well, one thing I learned years ago, and this actually wasn't, I was working in fitness. That was actually one of my very favorite. I was a good fitness instructor. I really want to get back to a lot of that. But anyways, really, actually, I was working with some amazing people. And I don't want to get into all the details, but what I learned later was that why I didn't feel right about a lot of things when I was there was that the people that I was around did not have the same values as I did. So that wasn't really manipulation. But if you know in your heart what your values and your ethical codes are for yourself, like one of my codes is, and I'm not saying or sharing this because I feel like somehow I'm above other people or I'm superior. I mean, maybe I do. I don't feel that way. But one value that I have, and it's very strong, is if you're in a relationship with a person, and I'm talking a heterosexual relationship because I'm heterosexual. So I believe in monogamy. Like, if you have people that are in those what are those relationships called, like the swingers and all that? If you're two consenting adults, I don't care. I have a problem with people that cheat on their spouse or their girlfriend, especially spouses, because to me, marriage is a commitment of love and care. And so if I'm around people that don't have that same value, there's going to be problems. I don't like a lot of drinking in excess because I had some of that I had a lot of that in my family. And that was something I always veered away from. So that's also important to know where your values are and your ethical, moral codes that you adhere to. Because if you're around other people that don't hold the same values, morals, or ethical codes that you do, there's going to be a lot of problems or tension. So that actually can go along with manipulation as well. But so that was important to bring up, because I remember I had this revelation about why am I upset about things going on and what's bothering me so much. And it was because I didn't have the same values as some of the people I was around. So, how can you tell when you're being manipulated? There's so many ways to tell, and the problem with when you're being manipulated, you're in so deep into the insanity, and the person that's manipulating you, there's ways that they do it. I'm not always sure that they know they're manipulating. It would depend on the person. I know that sounds weird, but it's such a modus operandi for them. Some manipulators, I don't know that they know they're manipulating. And I think of some of the people in my past. And there was narcissism, but it was such a, the things that they would do were so habitual and part of who they were. When they would talk about things, it was like they really believed the things that they believed, if that makes sense to you guys. So, because you're going to be immersed into this manipulative, and I feel any manipulation is abuse, so you're immersed into this manipulative, abusive environment. Workplaces are a very easy example, because how many of us have had these shitty jobs that we nearly were having panic attacks on the way to work because the stress was so great? That's a good example, because once your foot passes the threshold of that workplace, you're in the abusive environment. You know what I mean? So these abusive, manipulative people, it's just the way they conduct their lives, and they've been doing this for a very long time, and they ain't changing for nobody. I mean, they really aren't. Go do a bunch of research on narcissism, manipulators, can't talk today, abusers. They ain't changing, because they developed those behavioral patterns and honestly characteristics when they were very young. And usually, well, I would say, I'm not a psychiatrist or an expert in these things, but I would say the majority of the time they're learning these patterns because they are in abusive environments. However, I have seen very abusive people come out of environments in which their parents or guardians, whomever was taking care of them, were not like that. So you're immersed into this insanity. So if anybody's had this experience, like let's say you're young, right? And you want to go out and party with your friends because that's what you do when you're young. And I'm not condoning it. It's just kind of part of a lot of young adults. It's what they do. Because you just want to have fun. You know, when you're young, you want to have a good time. I wouldn't advise drinking alcohol when you're younger, but it's because I did it and it really wasn't the greatest payoff. But anyways, and you go into like an environment with all your friends and peers and maybe your high school classmates, or maybe they're just young people that you've met in your new city when you're going to college or whatever. And you walk into this, like it's a party, and everybody's centered on one person, right? And he's like the life of the party, and let's have a good time, and all this stuff. Now, there's a difference between charisma and narcissism or controlling behaviors. A person that's more charismatic is kind of just the life of the party, but they're not out to tell other people what to do with their own lives or how they conduct themselves, right? The controlling behaviors come when that person is telling other people how to think and what to do. And a lot of times it won't be really blatant. It won't be outright blatant that you can see this. But let's say you go into this party, and let's say the guy's not just charismatic. Let's say you don't drink. You don't want to drink. And he is absolutely freaking insisting that you take a shot. Maybe you have diabetes. Maybe you have a health issue that makes it better for you to not drink alcohol. Or maybe it's just like one of your moral codes that you shouldn't be at a party, but you know what I mean. But that person is going to freaking lose their freaking mind. Drink. They're going to be like, drink. Bottoms up. They're going to put you on the spot in front of a whole bunch of other people to make you feel like you're a loser if you don't take that shot of tequila or whatever it is. That's the controlling behavior. So you're already in this more controlling environment. Like, if you listen to any of the Diddy stuff, that's all that, but that's way darker. That's like secret society stuff. But so you're going to be able to tell that you're in a manipulative situation, that you're being manipulated by the way you feel, by the way, I just slurred, I was thinking your gut, by the way your gut feels, by the way your intuition, which I believe is different, but your gut you can literally feel in your stomach. You could feel it, and it doesn't feel right. If you ever listen to various victims of crime, a lot of them had a bad feeling in their gut that told them to leave, that told them to not take the drink, told them not to meet this person or whatever, and they didn't follow it. And that actually goes for other situations in which something bad happened to them because they didn't listen to their gut instinct. Now, when you're immersed into a more abusive, manipulative environment around a manipulative person or persons, there's going to be a whole shift. Let's say you came from your house, everything was fun, you were curling your hair, you're putting your makeup on, you're with your girlfriends, you're looking forward to looking at the handsome men in your area, flirtation and all that. And then once you get to the party, there's a shift, like you feel something's not right. Like it doesn't feel good to you. And that's because it's coercive. People are trying to control you, or a person is trying to control you. And when sometimes, let's say you're in an abusive relationship, the scary part about this is that, and I've learned this even recently in the last few years, I was subjected to a person who seemed like a really nice person, and they were very much manipulative. Those are the scary ones, man. I got out of that situation. But you're going to have little, like, nudges about something's not right. If you're really, really, really tired all the time around a specific person, that is telling you something's not right. And sleep deprivation is one method of controlling people, but it's also could be from mental exhaustion, because you will feel mentally exhausted around this person. And they will insist everything that they say is the only way. And anytime you try to bring up something that you think about a situation, they'll be like, yeah, but, and then they'll go into their whole story about blah, blah, blah. And you never have the true freedom to express your opinions on something. Nothing will piss me off more than when I'm around a person, and the one individual I was just mentioning, that's one reason I was done. Never had, like, you can voice your opinion or bring up a book that you want to talk about, and then they're going to minimize and diminish what you're saying. So that's another way you can tell. But it's like, the problem is when you're in an abusive relationship, or maybe you're at this abusive party, right? Where you're immersed into it. It's like you're in the moment. And especially if you have a lot of people that are going along with the insanity, it's hard for you. Like, your gut instinct probably is telling you something's wrong. Your intuition is telling you something wrong. But because you're surrounded by people that are supporting and reaffirming this insanity, it's hard for you to tell what's going on. If you feel confused a lot, if you're secretly asking questions and you're like, you're saying to yourself, internally, something doesn't feel right, or why am I always confused around this person? Why am I supposedly in love, but I'm depressed all the time? Why does this person act different when other people are around, but they don't act the same when we're together by ourselves? Why is that? And it's hard because when you're in this, like, you're mentally drained. They will mentally drain you. You're so drained. And you're confused because, especially if they present themselves to the world that they're this really great person helping all these people and they're virtuous. That's what you call the virtue signaling. I saw one, and everybody should know who I'm talking about, one prestigious executive from the ex-Scientology community. You guys know who I'm talking about. Virtue signaling all over the fucking place. If you're really, truly helping people, you don't have to talk about it all the time. That's one thing that will make me not trust you in a minute. Why you got to tell everybody what you're doing? That's another thing to watch out for. So that might be an external, seeing someone, oh, I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that. That's why I've always made a joke for 14, 15 years. All these evil ones giving each other medals. It's a narcissistic wet dream, giving each other prizes and medals all the time. And you all know what they're doing. So manipulation can make you tired. It can make you confused. If you're around a person and you feeling like, excuse me, if you're around a person and you feel like you're losing yourself, that is the biggest sign that they're manipulating you. Anyone manipulating you does not have your best interest at heart. Period. Ever. Nada. You guys, I don't know how old you guys are listening to this, but Tupac had a song. I like Tupac. I like a lot of artists that people think kind of like, what? You like them? Hell yeah, I do. Tupac had a song, They Don't Give an F About Us. I actually really like that song. And at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you, these manipulators, only thing they care about is themselves. And the attention's always on them. If you hear someone else saying that person's an attention whore, that should make you wonder, right? But when you're being manipulated, I'm trying to think of another example. Well, really, internally, you just feel like something's off, but you can't place it. Especially if this person has... This is one thing I learned the hard way, really. Always kind of be wary of a person that has a whole long story about themselves. And they're presenting themselves in a certain way. Man, I've fallen for that way too many times. Because what sane person has to have a big, long story about who they are and where they came from and how they like to save puppies, and who needs to do that? Like, it's one thing to be able to share of yourself with people, but if that's all you're ever doing is like, I was this and I was that, and I went to this special school, and guess what? I was in a special program, and blah, 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 blah. They are presenting to you what they want other people to see. That's the narcissistic narrative. Really watch that, I'm telling you. But I'm trying to think about internally what you feel inside when you're being manipulated. That's what I'm trying to concentrate on here. Confusion. Asking yourself little questions inside. You know, when no one's around, you're thinking something's off here. Things are not lining up with what this person says. And really, if you think you're being manipulated, you need to go and look at this person's history. And now with Google, like, there's a lot of things you can find out about people. I don't like spying on people. Like, I really don't give an F about certain things. But sometimes if your gut is telling you something's off, it's okay to go and do a little searching on people, because something is telling you something's not adding up here. Something's not right. And again, numerous victims of various types of crimes will tell people that something told them that something was off with this person. So it's like, let's say that before you met your boyfriend, you were like this happy-go-lucky, free-spirited artist, you know, outgoing, goofy, funny person. And now you're around this boyfriend and you feel more scared all the time. You're walking on eggshells because you never know when this person's going to explode or lose his freaking shit. You don't do things spontaneously like you used to. You're not seeing your friends as often as you used to. You used to go out for sushi at least twice a month. You don't do that anymore. The ideas that you have in your own head did not originate from you. They came from your boyfriend. Or let's say you can even use like a new friend as an example. Say you have a new friend and all of a sudden this friend is turning you against all your friends that you've been friends with for years That's called triangulation. That would be more the tactics. But you really have to go with what you're feeling inside. What do you feel like at night when nobody's watching you or talking to you about things? Right before you go to sleep, what are you thinking? When you're, let's go back to the boyfriend. You're with the boyfriend. And he's flooding you with all kinds of, oh, baby, I love you so much. You're the best. Like too much. Like overboard. Like inside you want to say, shut the fuck up. Because you know it's over the top and something's not right. You know why? Because that's love bombing. That's love bombing. When they just won't shut up about it. You know why? Because it's an act. It's not real. People that really love you don't have to say, oh, baby, I love you 20 times a day. A man, I'm going to use myself as an example. A man really loves me, heterosexual man. He doesn't have to tell me. I mean, I want to hear it once in a blue. But he doesn't have to tell me 15 times a day. He takes care of me. He makes sure, let's say I don't like taking the garbage out. He always makes sure the garbage is taken out. He hands me $20 to go do something nice for myself, or $100, whatever it is. He wants to make sure that I'm happy. And I'm not materialistic, but I'm just saying that might be one way he does it. He lets me know that he loves me through his actions. And it's nothing fake about it. So if you're with the new boyfriend and he's like, oh, baby, 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 all the time, like, what are we in kindergarten? How does he act around other people that's different from when you two are just by yourselves? You know, like, you're not always going to be super the same, but, like, watch out for people putting on an act. And if you're questioning a lot of things, that should tell you right there. If you're questioning things, you're confused a lot, or you're secretly sad. You don't let people know that you're sad, but you're sad. You're being manipulated. Or there's a lot of anger brewing inside of you that's not your natural state. You're not normally or naturally an angry person, but now you're always irritated. That's because you're around a manipulator. Because that person's always manipulating your time. They're manipulating your feelings, telling you how you need to feel, telling you who you need to be friends with. The fuck out of here. That. I wish somebody would tell me who I need to be friends with. The fuck out of here. Wake up, man. I've been down that road. And even before I understood what narcissism meant, I knew something was off. When I had found out, I don't want to go too deep, but it was, you know, a family relation that I was like, something's off. But even before that, there were situations where I absolutely refused to allow people to talk down to me. That was something that was just like a no-go. I wouldn't do it. So when I started getting fired, sure did. You think I come into this environment, you're going to talk down to me? The fuck you are. Oh, if you guys don't like the F-bombs, you're going to have to not listen to this video because I'm not in the mood today to be Miss Perfect Sally today. And, you know, I talked a lot about, like, people that are users. And not all users are narcissists. I don't think. I think a person that's using someone is a narcissistic behavior. But not all of them are straight up narcissists. It's just like, that's a touch of narcissism. And, you know, narcissism's on the spectrum, really. But what do you feel inside? And if you're feeling a lot of emotions that you normally do not feel, you know, we all have emotions, but what I'm saying is, you're always angry. Another way to tell if you're being manipulated is you're beginning to feel a lot of resentment toward that person. You're feeling a lot of resentment toward that new boyfriend or that new friend. You're resenting them taking up all of your time. Or you're resenting that you're not getting your 3 workouts in per week because you really like fitness. And now all of a sudden they keep interfering with your, let's say you like Zumba. They keep interfering with your Zumba night. By the way, that's a method of control. They love to interfere with the things that you love. And the more that you allow them to destroy parts of you, brick by brick, they will keep doing it. And Michelle Nueves talks a lot about that. She's got, I don't watch her as much anymore because I feel like I kind of got it, right? But she really, that's the more vulnerable narcissist. She really goes in deep how they tear away at you little by little. You know, the isolation. Watch The Isolation. They want you all to themselves. And especially if they say something like, I don't want to share you. That's a freaking red flag, bro. Or lady, I mean. Whomever I'm talking to here. That means you need to leave. Isolation. Telling you who you can and cannot talk to. Telling you, projecting onto you what they think, especially if they're all across the board. Like, what I mean is like, one day they're this way and then the next day they're that way. Man, that's something to just like, you don't want to be around that man. Or lady, I mean. It's not something you want to be around. So, this is a pretty long video. I've actually got a lot more ideas as for the manipulation, but honestly, at this point, I hope it helps someone. What I've learned through my years on Earth is you can't help everyone. That's the hardest lesson that I had to learn, because you will wear yourself out. It's not my job or anyone else's job to save everyone. Like I even noticed with some of Street's videos, it's like, it's not his job to save everyone. You know, it's not my job either. It's not anyone's job. People need to save themselves. That's like one of my favorite quotes of the Matrix movie where Neo says, you saved yourself. Ooh, it gives me goosebumps. You remember when I forgot who he was talking to. But they were like, Neo this, they were talking to him. And then Neo turned around. He said, you saved yourself. So anyways, always remember that. You saved yourself. Nobody else can save you. You got to save yourself. Have a good day, everyone. Good night. Peace.